a bridge between the industry as well as the government. So we bring all the stakeholders together and try to wrestle, solve, try to come to the end of very sticky and tricky problems. The SICI has been functioning with over 24 expert committees, and out of which one committee is our employability task force. And we've been involved in quite a lot of activities. We host a lot of events, workshops, conferences, expos. We also add to the knowledge. We release a lot of knowledge reports. We release surveys, and we proactively influence policy making through our regular interactions with bureaucrats and political leaders. And we also have a lot of recommendations we submit to the government. SICI also gets into a lot of projects. So we've been trying to set up an industry museum. We've been trying to establish a sister cities desk. We have partnered with Chennai Metro to set up readers' lounges. So SICI tries to stay relevant in the midst, even in the midst of all the pandemics and whatever be the situation. So why is it that we are doing this series of events, what we are calling as Core Connect? What has made us get into this Core Connect initiative? I would just like to state a couple of statistics. There is a recent report that came out, the report which was prepared in partnership with UNDP. So this report showed that there are the employability rates in Tamil Nadu was very high. The graduates who are employed in Tamil Nadu, it showed that 46% were highly employable. So compared to the other states, the graduates passing out of the colleges in Tamil Nadu were given a high priority. On one side, while this is good, on the other side, there is another alarming statistic that says that because of the pandemic, the unemployment rates in Tamil Nadu are very high. So compared to last year, this year the unemployment has doubled. Last year it was 7.2%, and this year it has gone to over 16.7%. So the pandemic definitely has made an impact. While our employability rates are good, it still leaves a lot to be accomplished, and the unemployment rates are going down. So in this context, what is it that students can do? So our small initiative has been to bring the industry leaders together and to help students understand the issue of how each and every specific core engineering sector is evolving over the years, and what is it that the students need to know? How can they prepare to face the reality of their careers and workplaces, and how can they be successful in that endeavor? So we have with us Mr. George Koshi, who is the chair for SICI's Employability Task Force. Mr. George Koshi, he is a person who's passionate about training, about interacting with the young people, and he's the head for learning and development at Hyundai. He has over 2 decades of corporate experience, and he is somebody who keeps things interesting and lively, and at the same time adding immense value to all the participants. So without taking any much of your time, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. George Koshi to take us through the proceedings of the day. Over to you, Mr. Koshi, and thank you so much for moderating today's session.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinod. Probably we need to can the panelists, because I generally, it is the panelists members are also introduced by the by SICI, so I did not prepare for these things. So probably if one of you can introduce the panel members also, that would be really helpful. Or probably the other thing that we can do is the panel members can introduce themselves. So whichever way is fine. How shall we go about doing that?
Yeah. So as you said, self-introduction would be great.
All right. Okay. All right. So let us start, and then probably as we the best thing that we can do is like when they start speaking about because the first question that I'm going to ask would be open to everybody. So I would probably request everybody to actually introduce and then probably carry on with the response. Let us start. Thanks, Vinod. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for talking about SICKI. Let me thank Sri Venkateshwara Engineering College in partnering with South Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries to have a series of webinars like this. In fact, we completed 2 webinar series. One was demystifying automobile and mechanical engineering, and the next one was electronic and electrical engineering. And this is the 3rd one that we are having, which is the future of civil engineering. I believe it's a very interesting topic. The objective of this webinar series is to help the students probably to recognize the importance of the core engineering streams that are available. Generally, you'll find that most of the students these days are kind of inclined towards information technology and software. So it is important that we may have to educate our students to understand that these core engineering streams are very, very important. Probably civil engineering is something which is even more important because the tangible or very obvious development of any country, if you look at it, it depends on the infrastructure of that country. You actually go to any country, you actually look at the infrastructure and say that this country is really, really developed. And the future of development also depends on possibly the infrastructure growth of the country as well. There are various roles that I always mention. I call it the ABCD, and they're very much related to civil engineering, like architects. ABCD is architects, builders, contractors, and developers. Probably the last E, you can add another E and say engineers, or probably civil engineers. So all these roles, I think it's very, very important, which helps the GDP, contributes a lot of economic growth for the country as well. And one more thought is, I don't think so any other field of engineering other than civil engineering needs the understanding of nature very well. I mean, I'm sure that most of you will agree with me. As a civil engineer, you may have to be knowledgeable with respect to sciences and with all the sciences I'm talking about, like geology, which is something about soils, chemistry, which is something about all what are some of the elements in cement and a lot of things like that. Botany. I'm sure that most of these sciences collaborate and combine, and the knowledge of a civil engineer is immense, is what I feel, compared to many other field of engineering. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, let us go ahead and start. I don't want to waste a lot of time. Probably I can go on and talk about civil engineering, but I think we have an awesome and wonderful panel of speakers. What we can do is, like, the first question, let me pick up from the topic of this webinar series. What is the future of civil engineering? And that's the first question that I would want to give it to all the panel members. Probably each one of you can take around 2 to 3 minutes and probably respond to this question. What is the future of civil engineering? Is it losing its sheen, or is it losing its attractiveness? That's a question that I have for all of you. Please respond after introducing yourself. Thank you so much. Who's going to take first?
I shall start.
All right.
Yeah, right. Good afternoon, everybody. That was a good introduction, Judge. Thank you for that. I'm Gnanasekaran, graduated from NIT with 36 years of experience in the construction field. And I worked in L&T and other international companies, and I have worked across the globe. Now at present, I'm running a project management company here in Chennai. That is my brief. As George told, civil engineering is it is what I would say is a backbone of any country's growth, and any infrastructure, it has to start with only civil engineering. For the matter, I would say it's an evergreen of field, evergreen industry. Whatever you do, whatever the project that you do, it has to start with civil engineering. Without civil engineering, no project can happen. So we name many things. It is whether it's residential, commercial, industry, roadways, railways, airports, harbors, everywhere the civil engineering involvement will be there. Now, having said that, the opportunities for civil engineers are abound in these government institutions like PWDs and the water boards, the highways, railways, then PSUs like EAL, NTPC, NLC, BHEL, a number of private construction companies, and there are project management companies, facility management companies, real estate area, technical services company, even IT sector. They are recruiting the civil engineers because there are many IT companies are now entering the IT enabled services. So there are also civil engineers requirement is there. So these opportunities are plenty. And opportunities are not only in India but also across the globe. They can go to Gulf, Central Asia, South Asia, Africa. In fact, apart from IT, only I think civil engineers have the global opportunities. And this is there's no dearth of jobs for civil engineers. I would put it that way. But only the thing is the quality quotient. The quality civil engineers is a big question, and that part probably will be discussing later part of the session. So they also have the many functional areas there through which they can grow. They can be planning engineers, design engineers, field engineers, the quality engineers, quantity surveyors. So there are a number of options are there for them. And probably this is the only engineering which is giving a broad spectrum of options for the civil engineers to pursue their career. They are also, depending upon their mental makeup and their the inclination, they can choose their career in the civil engineering field. So there's going to be a huge potential in the infrastructure in India, also in other areas. In fact, an article published in 2019 predicted there will be a requirement of 4.5 million civil engineers for the coming decade. So that is huge, and this industry is going to grow to a $1 trillion industry. So there's a huge potential for civil engineers, and it's going to be a boom time, particularly now because of the COVID. A lot of projects have been kept under hold, and all these things are going to open up in the coming years once this COVID situation is brought under control. So I think it is going to be a boom time for civil engineers, at least for now. In fact, the last time, the last boom time when it was 1998 to 2008, there was shortage of civil engineers across the world. In fact, they could command a salary at par with the IT counterparts. There was so much of demand because there was a boom across India, Middle East, US, everywhere there was big construction activities were going. So with that, I stop, and it's going to be a golden period for civil engineers in the coming years. That's what I would say. The other parts we can discuss later. I leave the form to others. George.
Thank you, Mr. Janasekharan. You probably you did not introduce yourself.
Pardon?
I think you did not introduce yourself. So
I will introduce. Probably you missed that. I told you that I'm a graduate from NIT and 36 years of experience in construction field. I worked in India, abroad, and many places.
okay.
And I'm running a project management company here in Chennai. Town Engineering Construction Services. That is my company's name.
Apologies if I missed that. I really
No problem.
no problem. Thank you, Mr. Janasekharan.
Yeah.
All right. So over to
Can I take it, George?
Yes, yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I think, George, you have set the tone very nicely. And actually, this is what needed at this hour. And I could see a lot of young, budding civil engineers in this call. So I think we need to portray what is there at ground and also highlight what are the opportunities we have in hand. And also, Vinod has highlighted what, as part of SICKI, we do. I'll have a quick introduction about myself. I'm Shankar. Basically, I'm an architect. Did my architecture from School of Architecture and Planning, Anna University. Then I did my master's in planning with specialization in real estate from School of Planning and Architecture. So for organizations who are into development and all of that. So when George highlighted about ABCD, I was the happiest person being an architect, coming at the first place that I can architect. So anyway, I think according to me, civil engineering is the back architecture. So it's important that George highlighted the ABCD, which constitutes all activities, comes under the civil engineering bit. So currently, the last 18 years, I've been associated with an organization for multinational company, New York Stock Exchange listed company called Jones Lang LaSalle, JLL. We provide end-to-end solutions in real estate, right from concept to commissioning of all projects. The audience of this particular group must have visited a lot of cities in India, and also being in Chennai, you must have seen many construction activities of large malls like Phoenix City. Then you have IT parks. Then you have residential projects. So all of them is being advised by our company. So we inform or advise the landowners and developers to what kind of projects they need to focus on, whether it is going to be residential development or an IT park or a retail development. That is more from an advisory standpoint. Then we also do the transaction management. So if a building is up and coming up, so you need tenants. For example, if it is a retail mall, you need tenants like and Pantaloons of the world should be taking up space. So we provide that services in bringing them. If it is an IT park, you need IT corporate companies to come and set up their offices in IT parks. So we provide all those services. While construction, we also manage the construction progress of a building. Currently, we manage projects in Chennai alone. Also, when the construction activity, the development is over, once the building is up and ready, we need to do the facilities management. So that's what I meant by saying we provide end-to-end solution in real estate. So real estate is nothing but a lot of civil engineering component plugged into it. So to answer your initial question, George, I thought, if the civil engineering is not being considered by many, even we had brief discussion earlier that the IT is being focused for many of the youngsters who are coming up. But I still remember when I joined architecture way back in 1991. That point in time, the civil engineering still was. Civil engineering was big in 1970s, 1960s. It was one of the, if it is engineering, it's always been civil engineering. So that was the time when you had a lot of other streams of engineering had come in. In 1990s, it used to be like, people are getting into architecture and multiple other streams. And, in after a decade or so, the IT came, and hence there's limited take up. Just a few years, I've seen huge amount of take up from students and aspiring engineers towards civil engineering. In the last 5 to 10 years, we know a huge amount of construction activity and how our cities are transformed. If you name any city, all the cities are dotted with construction activities. By looking at it, I think many of the youngsters are preferring coming into the construction activity and the civil engineering related stuff. And why? It may be an interest level, but however, we need to look at the opportunity. I think India is expected to become the world's third largest construction market globally by 2025. So 2025, 26, in next 3 to 4 years, we are going to be the third largest construction market. So currently it might be Middle East, it can be America, all of that. But in 3 or 4 years time, we would reach that mark. What it means is that we are going to foresee a lot of these construction activities. So then if you have huge amount of investments coming into India. So investments means, I think currently we need about 50 trillion dollars for construction and infrastructure by 2025. But still, lot of FDIs, the foreign direct investments, are coming into India. In the last 10 years, we had about 26 billion coming into India, and we foresee in the next 5 years huge amount of FDI coming in. So what it means is that we have a huge opportunity, and real estate industry where we are in is expected to reach about USD 1 trillion by 2030, and it is going to contribute about 13% to the India's GDP. So real estate alone is going to contribute 13% of India's GDP. What it means is that by the next decade or so, by 2030, the construction related activities going to go up in a massive manner, right from the private sector participation. What I was highlighting is about how FDI is coming in, how private sector is participating in the construction activity. Not only that, and also the huge amount of government initiatives, be it housing for all, be it smart cities mission. Then you had a lot of this transport related initiatives, privatization of airports, metro rail, private modernization of railways. So all of them are going to contribute a huge amount of activity in the construction space. So Jad, I feel that it is not going to it's not the interest levels towards civil engineering is not coming down. Rather, I foresee in the next decade, I think civil engineering is going to come up in a brighter manner, and it's going to be the most preferred course. And also, maybe some might say that, okay, maybe I don't have options in civil engineering. Maybe I'll touch upon some of the points in the next round of Q&A. But I restrict now to limit myself to state that there is a huge opportunity in civil engineering, but how and which stream we are going to take is very, very important. The initial, and how are we going to upskill from just civil engineering and learn about multiple things, which is going to help one grow beyond their expectation and reach a better stage in their career opportunity. I stop here, George.
Thank you, Shankar. In fact, I'm quite happy the way this discussion is going on. Mr. Gnanasekaran talked about that civil engineering is a backbone of our development, and he talked about the quality of civil engineers is so much important. And you talked about that we are going to be the third largest construction. I mean, third largest, when it comes to construction by 2025, and the investments with respect to FDIs are also flowing in, and also with respect to the GDP. I mean, kind of a contribution to the GDP is 13%. That's pretty huge. So these things are quite exciting, and thanks for bringing in these data points. Thanks a lot. So over to Mr. Jain. Yeah.
Hi. Thanks, Siki, for the opportunity. Thanks.
Jain, you got to be a little more louder, or is it only for me that I'm not able to hear you?
No, he has to be louder.
Okay,
Thank you.
Is it better?
No, I can't hear you.
No.
Oh, hold on. Give me a second. Okay, I'll take the mic out. Is that fine?
Yeah, now it's much better.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I think the hands-free is not working properly. Okay, thanks to Siki for the opportunity. Thanks, Josh, for setting up the context and picking the point from Gnanasekaran as well as Shankar. I just want to touch upon the way I entered civil engineering and how I see the last 26 years of my engagement in civil engineering. As an introduction, I'm Jain. I head the operations for Hochtief Engineering. Hochtief Engineering is a German engineering firm. It's an EPC firm. So we have close to 300 design engineers here in Chennai. So I head the operation, the capacity of a chief operating officer. When like in early 90s when I was going through the selection, this engineering selection, I think 92, 93, that was a time frame I was looking for engineering entry. At that time, you have, I mean, like George, you mentioned the sheen is lost. We had exactly the same situation 30 years back also. The sheen was lost, or that was the image carried at that time. And most of the time, you end up in having like whatever the state level or the national level ranking. Mostly the first ones are picked up by the computer science or EC. Other guys are picked up, and what is left over is actually goes to the civil engineering. So when, so I mean, that's the way. I don't think it has changed too much. Maybe I think I think after our 1 hour session, I think a lot more kids will be fascinated, interested. I think I would rather focus that, because I think most of the things you do a Google, you can find what is the trends, you can find what is going to happen in civil engineering. But we would be more than happy. Actually, we can excite at least 10 kids from this group actually, or give a little more confidence to a few of the faculties that, okay, I think they are going to train maybe some of the future leaders. Okay. So when I went through this, like I think I passed out in 97 and then went on to, I'm a civil engineer. So I went on to did my master's in management, construction management from IIT. So that has taken me, and when I look back over the last 25 years, I mean, I felt now also, like you said, I think the sheen, I mean, we're still debating the sheen is lost or not, but I can say very well after my 25 years in the career that like I actually feel happy that I took this stream. I had other options. I had other options. I didn't choose other options because I wanted to be a civil engineer, because I was fascinated when in school itself, big building, fancy buildings. That was exciting. That's why I took this route. But though I ended up doing something different over the period, that's something we will reserve it maybe the next round. What is it that actually you just need to find what is really exciting you, take that route, be a specialist in that area, go on. And it is applicable not only to civil engineering, it is applicable to any stream. So I wouldn't give too much of importance about civil, electrical, mechanical or something. It probably this confusion could be running in everyone's mind. So I think that's what I would open up. Maybe I think I'll give it back to you, Josh.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jain. In fact, thanks for your honest, probably thoughts in terms of the sheen, and probably going back to your days, saying that nothing has been changed from then, in terms of civil engineering and how students prefer computer science and other engineering, and then probably civil engineering. There's one more thought here, like probably in India, and if you go to other countries, Western countries, you'll find a lot of skyscrapers, but then you won't find much in India, right? So I don't know the reason. Probably one of you can talk about that. And the question that I'm leading to is, what are some of the roles, some of the, once you are a kind of a civil engineer, you pass out of civil engineering in any of the college, what could you expect of, as different roles in different organizations? So probably even if you want to become an entrepreneur, is it possible that, immediately after finishing your civil engineering, would you be able to do that? So I would direct this question to possibly Mr. Shankar. Shankar, would you be able to take this question? Or probably, even after Shankar, if anybody wants to add, feel free to do that. Shankar, please.
So I could decode as two parts to your question. One is on why you don't have high-rise buildings in India when compared to the Western countries, number one. And second, I think you are looking at what kind of roles you find in current organizations across India. What are the opportunities for civil engineers, whether it is going to be entrepreneurial line, whether there is an option. Okay, the first thing is It depends. I think why we don't have high-rise buildings, because India's development controls, which is called as the FSI. I'll not go into the details of FSI. So how much you can build on a piece of land, the regulations are not so open as the Western country, because in Western country, their focus is more of verticalization of cities with high density in more low density kind of development. But eventually, cities moved into more dense and high dense cities over a period of time. We do have a large number of skyscrapers, especially in Mumbai, which allows more FSI, hence taller buildings. In Chennai, there was a regulation till some time back that no building can be taller than the LIC building, which is bang on the Mount Road. Now the regulations moved away, and still you have a lot of some of the things taller than Chennai. But it's not about whether high-rise building or a low-rise building. It is about the development opportunities which we have in a city, and how you control the urban design and the urban fabric is the key. And I think the civil engineering and the allied the professionals related to civil engineering are in demand. So that leads to my answer to the second part of the question, which is about if you ask me, just a civil engineering will do the job? No, I don't think so, because I'm a strong believer in having upskilling your knowledge, either by having a continued association with an organization in the civil engineering field, or undertake a higher study, which can be an extension of your civil engineering, moving into more specialized or expertise in something which you want to pursue as the next step. Even for if you want to become an entrepreneur, nowadays many civil engineers are preferring MBAs, the business administration. And I think yesterday I was having a chat with one of the guys who's been associated with a university in UK, where there is a stream of entrepreneurship, right? MBA in entrepreneurship. I think he was telling me 50% of the students are from a civil engineering background. So what it means is that, so they want to do MBA in entrepreneurship, go back to their countries, and get into the construction activity. So to answer your question, George, so I feel that not just civil engineering will not do the job. I think we need to go beyond upgrading yourself through an experience, or through higher studies, or through making yourself better for an entrepreneurial line, George.
Thank you, Shankar. Thanks for the some of the terms like verticalization of cities and how important is upskilling, especially somebody who has complete civil engineering. It's not just civil engineering, probably may not be enough, but then there could be something else also that you that the student would look out for. All right. Is there anybody who would want to just add few thoughts to this question in terms of some of the roles, specific roles that probably the civil engineers can expect from any organization?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall I start? Okay. I just want to answer the two sides. One is the sheen of the civil engineering. Okay, it is going up. I would say it is. The fact is, the students, so when they choose their branches, they look for the campus recruitment. It is not much happening in the civil engineering area. There are reasons for that, because the civil engineering, most of the construction companies, they do not go for the campus recruitment, because they do not entertain the freshers. And taking the freshers is a risk for them, because there is a huge investment, and any mistakes by the freshers will cost them huge money and loss of money and time. So that is one of the reasons that they always discourage the freshers, and they look for the experienced candidates in the construction company. And the curriculum also is probably loaded towards the design aspects, and the construction aspects are not taught much in the college campus. Because of that, these students, when they are coming out of the college, they are not prepared for the construction industry. many students, okay, they just want for career in the design companies, and unfortunately, the intake in the design companies is very less, and the mass intake is happening only in the construction companies. So the curriculum also has to be relooked how these students can be good for the construction industry, because construction is partly technical and partly management, and the students may not be knowing the management aspects and these processes, the construction, what is the construction processes is happening. That also they do not understand. Even they will not be able to understand like what is the link between the architectural design and the structural design and the services design, how they are getting integrated, and what are the different aspects of the construction that's happening, like the tendering or the scheduling. These are how it is helping the construction industry. These are all it is, they do not get a feel at the college campus. Only after joining the industry, they get trained and they develop their knowledge, understanding on these areas. So this is one area probably this where the college, I mean academia and industry, they have to work together and develop engineers for the construction field. Okay, depending on this, the career opportunities in the civil engineering field, the upskilling, the new skills are okay. Remodeling, it is one area. It is fast developing in the industry, and there's demand for this modeling, 3D modeling area. The students can take a course in Revit, Tekla. This all will be helpful for them. Also, this Primavera scheduling, MS project. There also they can take a course. There are RICS certifications. There are the quantity surveyors. These also they can take. This all will help them to place in the construction industry. The other aspect again for the civil engineers, why the people students are not preferring the civil engineering is civil engineering is more of an outdoor activity. Unlike the other the stream of engineering where the people can work under a shelter and do things. Civil engineers, they have to go out and they have to work under hot sun, whether rain or shine, they have to work there. And they have to be closer to the dirty and dusty areas. So this is the one thing that keeps the students away from the civil engineering field. But I can say that the civil engineers, once they get a placement, the career growth is very fast, and they earn a far better salary than many of their counterparts. Okay, this that you can see that the many civil engineers, they command a better salary for experienced civil engineers, particularly they command a very better salary than many of the counterparts. So this is my ideas on this topic. Back to you, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Gnanasekar, and thank you for talking about in fact, that is one of the questions that I wanted to ask probably sometime later. Then you actually talked about it with respect to compensation. And also you outrightly said that the sheen for civil engineering is going up. But then, just wanted to counter one of the points that you mentioned. Just wanted to ask you that you mentioned that most of the construction companies, they don't take students, especially from campuses, because they would want experienced candidates. Now, how do they gain experience if no organizations or no construction company is going to give them an opportunity? So how do you think, especially from the colleges, how do you think that they actually should gain experience so that they can get a job?
See, this is it's all about the employability. Okay, this is what I have told you. The curriculum, it is designed more towards the design as aspects of the civil engineering, not on the construction or the project management aspects. So a construction company, when they are recruiting the people, they look for the people, the students with that mindset for the construction industry. And if a student, when he comes out of the campus, at least he should have that basic the knowledge of the construction processes, and he should be able to do a basic quantity surveying, some sort of a scheduling, a ball-bending schedule. He should be able to do that. Some cost estimation, he should be able to do that. So when he is having this sort of a skill set, probably he will be useful for a construction company, and they can readily they can take him.
So
and as I told you,
So,
Yeah,
so what you're saying is like, probably if they can develop a lot of skills, like, all those things that you talked about in terms of estimation and understanding the construction processes and things like
exactly,
that.
exactly. See, the students, in fact, they should be given the assignment, practical-oriented assignments in the college. I'm seeing many of the students when they are coming out of the college, when I'm interviewing them, what is their project work? They are showing the project work related to the research in the alternative materials and these type of things. But this is more of a research-oriented projects. Instead of that, okay, they can give the students application-oriented the projects. Like probably yes, they even many students they can take up. They can think of constructing their own dream house. The entire process they can run through, from the designing and preparing a BOQ for that, taking the scheduling for that,
Thank you,
the
thank
quantity
you, thank
takeoff.
you, thank you, Mr. Nanasekhan. Let me
Yeah.
focus on Mr. Jayan and Shankar. What is your thought on this, Jayan and Shankar, in terms of recruiting freshers from college for construction industry?
Maybe I'll start, Shankar. Give me a second. I think your point is right. It's I think typically for civil engineers in terms of a mass recruiting, it doesn't happen like the way the Infosys or others come and pick others, other streams. Because even if there is a campus happens, those are like very less numbers. So always as civil engineers in our experience, the first 2 or 3 years could be a bit struggle, where maybe I think that is why it is built into their mentality also, that like I think the uncertainty is built into it. But it may not be a right thing to say that there is no campus selections or there is no opportunities extended to the civil engineers at the early stages. There are, but certainly if the colleges or the academic side actually do a little more collaboration with the industry, which I think at an undergraduation level is relatively low. If that part is addressed, because then the students are exposed to the industry pretty early, at least in a small pieces. Actually, they get maybe a 2 or 3 weeks of exposure to some of the construction sites. So why I'm asking is that, like, by the time they move into the 7th, 8th semesters, they know what actually the real world wants, and they know the people. Right now, mostly they are bookish, and when they come out, they just don't know where to go. And if the colleges, their placement team is not good enough to actually attract enough companies, I think the time is running out. I think they literally get the certificate, they just don't know where to go. They keep looking. That is what actually happening here. So there are opportunities. Maybe I will say if the engagement between the academics as well as the industry is increased, it'll change.
Excellent, excellent. That's a good point, Jayan. Thanks for bringing that out in terms of like how well industry academia works, and the engagement has to improve. Just like I always have this hospitality industry as a benchmark. If you look at any hospitality services college, like catering college or something like that, right from the second year, they go to different hotels to actually be a waiter or be a chef and things like that. I think that kind of connect between construction companies and colleges should be there, and I think it's a responsibility of the college to actually go about and find that connect with different industries, and probably use their and do a lot of projects, especially interns and projects into these construction companies as well. I think those things would actually help, is what I feel. Okay, let me also open some of the questions to the participants. If there are any participants, who are willing to ask any questions, feel free to actually to post your questions on the chat window. And just wanted to actually, just engage with the audience here. Like, how many of you are students? You know, I don't know, Bhavani, is there a way that they can react? Reaction, there's a reaction icon below, like, you know, and there is a this symbol, like, you know, you can show a thumbs up like that. So probably if all the students, can you actually give a quick thumbs up so that I understand the total number of probably how many are there as students here. Can we quickly, can I quickly get some thumbs up, please? Bhavani, is there a way that they can do this?
Oh, they can, sir, but I don't know how many. Yeah, we are getting, I guess.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, there it is. Very few, is it? Yeah.
Yes, we are getting some.
Only 2 of them are students, is it? All the others are not students. I really don't know. I got it only from Ishwar and Sabarish, I suppose. All the others are mute spectators. All right, there we're getting. I think they're figuring out
Yeah, yes,
they're
sir.
finding out where the reaction button was possible.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anyway, it's like, do we have any questions from them? You know, if we have any questions, we can actually ask those questions here. Or probably I can go with the next question. Well, okay. So this is a challenging question to all the panel members, speakers. In fact, I started by saying that, you know, IT and software is a kind more of a very glamorous industry, and also I think Mr. Gnanasekharan mentioned about it, that if you are a civil engineer, you may have to work outside, and it's outdoor. Most of the time you might be outdoor, and especially at a junior position, you might be like that. And especially during pandemic situation like this, you would have noticed that all the IT companies are doing very well, and most of them had the opportunity to work from home. So what is your take on this in terms of how good could a civil engineer probably connect from home and work, and how good even during pandemic situations like this, do we have business continuity plan, the BCP, how good is that with respect to civil engineering industry? So that's the question. Probably I can give it to Shankar. Shankar, you haven't responded for some time. Probably, Shankar.
Yeah. Thanks, George. I think this is very important and pertinent question at this point in time. In fact, you know, JLL has been advising many corporates on the BCP. Many of them are corporates, IT giants, and most impacted in this pandemic is the construction activity. I'm talking about the on-ground construction activity. Apart from various other things like hospitality, retail, and all of that, industrial production, all have been impacted. But the construction activity has been most impacted, especially in India, not because of the business continuity plan not in place, but the nature of this particular activity itself demands people to come and construct. We had huge amount of issue in the laborers going back to their hometowns, hence the construction activity had stalled. But however, many companies, many leading construction companies had adopted a lot of the business continuity plan, and also they planned their project such that how to mitigate such kind of risks in delay in the construction activity for the next 6 to 9 months time. However, now we have gone through the second wave. The third wave is also, I don't know whether it's coming or no, it is not going to come. I think first of all, we should pray that, you know, nothing of this first wave and second wave should repeat. And pandemic is a one-time affair. Maybe the next pandemic might come after 100 years of time. So coming back to this main question is that, okay, pandemic is a one-time affair, but most impacted is construction activity. Hence, civil engineers would be most impacted. And I mean, if I want to highlight in this forum also, most layoffs happen in the construction companies in India in the last few months. Because as you rightly pointed out, the highest employer from a private sector participation is the IT companies, not much layoff happened, but in the construction companies, many layoffs had happened. So now anyway, it's resuming, people are joining back, coming back, and all of that stuff. So BCP or that particular time, as part of the business continuity plan, what many of the companies, large companies like L&Ts and GMR, GVK had done is that they had planned for their future. So how they aligned. So all their employees, especially the civil engineers and the structural engineers, were given a task to look at how well they can manage the next project which would come in near future. And they planned it very well. And also very important, how to adopt technology in the next level. Because today the technology intervention into the construction activities has gone about 100% more when compared to the last year. So by 2019, only about 20% of companies embrace technology. Today, about 80% of construction companies embracing technology. Technology can be as simple as the drone technology to monitor construction activity, to technology, something, some companies are also exploring 3D printing technology for modular construction and all of that. So I think looking at this pandemic situation, and the pent-up demand would also come in near future. So what it means is that past is past, but in future the construction activity will go up multifold, and there is going to be pent-up demand which will trigger a lot of construction activity coming in. So what it means is that there will be huge amount of opportunity for civil engineers and allied professionals in this field. So to answer your question, yes, most impacted is construction companies, but they had some plans, embraced technology, and I think what we need to learn from this as consultants like me and the students who are aspiring to be the professionals is that how to diversify their experience into technology and the upcoming tools which will support civil engineering at large. I stop here, George.
Excellent, excellent. That was kind of a very honest response again in terms of like, I was thinking that, you could be saying that absolutely that civil engineering is probably, construction industry did come up again in terms of probably, even Jain was mentioning the other day that, we also work from home and things like that. Probably I thought response would be on that side. But Jain, you want to add anything like on this?
Jain and myself, the chief operating officers, we can afford to work from home, but not the civil engineers who are on field.
Absolutely, yes.
I think maybe I'll add a couple of points, George. It's not like for a construction company having a BCP like a software company may not be is not a culture for a construction company to have such a system in place, because a BCP has its own cost. It can't be built into for a 100-year event for a construction company. So no doubt it was a surprise. It was probably hit a lot of companies. But one good thing actually you should understand, or we should accept, is that probably 3-4 months there was struggle, especially with the migrant labor moving back and unwanted attention given to it, which to an extent it was right. It was bad, unfortunate. But I think after 3-4 months, I think we actually learned to stand. Why I'm telling is that, like, from Hoptiv, actually we does a lot of international projects. Most of our projects are actually not in India. We do a lot of projects in Europe and all. Entire pandemic period, actually our team was 100% busy.
Oh.
So even we were like busy like any other day. So like what Shankar mentioned is that, like, it's maybe an exception. It can't be applied generally, because at the end of the day, somebody has to pour concrete. Somebody has to do something at some site, whether the drawing is generated or something is done. Finally, something has to come up, right? So the end portion is actually certainly been affected, at least for 3, 4, 5 months. It's affected, but I would say I think companies quickly learned it, and the way they learned it is very commendable, especially maybe after the first 6 months. I would say maybe from last September onwards or October onwards, they actually bounced like a spring. But there is apprehension in terms of new business plans because nobody knows where we are heading. So there has been a slowdown in terms of putting money probably into the construction because nobody knows. I'm talking maybe from a real estate angle, but the infrastructure projects are still going on because at the end of the day, civil engineering is not just real estate. I mean, it's real estate is only probably 10 or 15% of the entire civil engineering scope. We still have a vast area to do. I mean, we still need to build our dams. We still need to go and build our roads. So the construction certainly for a short period affected, but what Shankar was mentioning is right, spot on, is like what we used to do probably with 1,000 construction laborers, we actually smart enough to get the same stuff done probably with 300 or 400 people because we learned to do things offsite. It was there. It's not like something came up in the last 15 months. It was there, but we started becoming a lot more adaptable to it. We started receiving those ideas. Okay, there is a 5% cost there, but there are other benefits. So all the companies started realigning so that like they realize that they need to actually move on in the right direction. And I would say it is at least for the industry on a larger perspective, it is actually a blessing in disguise because the construction, many companies actually embracing all the new technology a lot more readily right now than probably 2 years back. Because like Gyanesh, he was mentioning about the BIM technology and all. I think the reception is a lot better right now because they realize that a lot of things can be done off-site so that your on-site can be done probably at 60% of the time or 60% of the resources only needs to be utilized. So there are plus and minus. Yes, we went through the bad time, but we learned it. I think it is going to take us a long way.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Jayan. Thanks a lot. Do we have any questions from the participants, Bhavani, or should we? Is there any questions from them? Bhavani, are you there?
If there
Right,
is not
then-
any question, I think
Yes, sir,
we
yes,
can
sir.
ask them a question because I had a question in mind for more of an interaction. I could see many students giving a thumbs up. Just I wanted from them, just maybe they can type it in the chat box, stating that if they want to start their own company or entrepreneurial road, they can type own, OWN. In case if they want to work for a company, just they can type work. And if they want to go for higher studies, they can type higher studies. At least we'll know what is the pulse of this audience and accordingly we can guide them. George, if that is fine.
Excellent thought. So probably we can have some engagement with the students as well. Like students, like, I hope you got it. If you're going to go for future studies, you can say higher studies. If you're going to say you're going to work with a company, you can say you're going to work. Or if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you can say own. So probably you can type in.
So there is a question in my private chat.
Yeah.
Mr. Bharat, I don't know whether he's a student or a participant, is asking, do you think that the value of civil engineering is really reducing?
Do you think the value of civil engineering is really reducing?
Maybe
Who would want to take that question? Has he mentioned that this question to be targeted to anybody?
No. Just he message, like he sent it to me. Maybe anyone can.
As the value of civil engineering reducing. So who would want to take that question? Probably you can spend 2 to 3 minutes on this.
I can take it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just go back. I'll go back to during my introduction. I said like 25, 30 years back. You said I think the sheen is lost. It's like when you look right now, the same mood. I think that is probably prompting whoever was asked this question right now. But I will say the next 30 years would be the golden period actually for construction and as well as civil engineering. But construction, when we say it is actually civil, it's not only civil engineering. Civil engineering is only part of it, right? End of the day, it's engineering, and engineering cannot stand alone. Like I think Shankar mentioned some time back. I mean, it's a collaborative effort. I think no civil engineering or something, no building can come only with civil guys, right? You need all of these people. But point is that as long as there is civilization, I mean, there is going to be construction, there is going to be changes, and like initially when we discussed, we are going to be there. Actually, we would be required as long as people are going to be there. So So it's no reduction in value unless otherwise you allow, you reduce your own value. So you start believing yourself that we are required in this society, and we are one of the best people that society need. So you start believing it, and then people will give you the value you demand.
All right. Okay. I think there's only one response for that that we've got. Only one person said that, he's going to probably, has started his own company, and that's Ishwar. And all the others, maybe they're still kind of confused. They don't know what to do. They want to go do future studies or something. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Jen, for the response. It was, it's very, very true. As long as civilization is there, I think infrastructure development would always be there. And if we talk about civilization, like Indus Valley civilization and all those things, the identification of all these civilization came from such infrastructural findings. Probably they identified that they used good roads, and they identified that they had good houses, and that's how civilization started. And I think civil engineering is the backbone of these developments as well. Excellent point noted. Well, one more question that I wanted to ask is probably if there are any faculty members in this group, probably you can react and say a kind of a thumbs up. Probably then the next question that I'm going to ask is mostly for it's for the faculty members. Probably, do we have any faculty members in this group? Please react. I haven't got anybody. There are no faculty members at all, is it? Okay, so in that case, let me ask the question. What could be the role, or what should be the role of faculty members? Probably if you really want to improve. In fact, Gnanasekharan started by saying that the quality of civil engineers has to improve. That's the thing that's the term that he used. The quality of civil engineers has to really improve. And in order to improve the quality of civil engineers, what should be the role of faculty members in engineering college? What should they be doing more than what they are actually doing right now? What are your thoughts?
I'll go first, George. A couple of points. I've been associated with some of the premium institutions in India. They truly believe in the one particular point which Jayan highlighted, the Industry Academia Connect. That's the key. Under that, two benefits. One, the faculty would also get benefit about what is happening at the industry level. I think this particular forum, what Sikhi had organized, and you've been moderating, George, is actually that. I think we are giving the industry feedback to the academia in the other side. So this is one thing, but whether this is enough, I don't think this is enough. I think the practical exposure is very important, not only for the students but also for the teachers. I think some of the institutions globally are doing it very well, and some of the Indian institutions, premium institutions like IIT, has been doing it extremely well with this R&D centers, inviting external experts to come and deliver lectures, and also they partner with them in the research related stuff. So today is the world of innovations. Everybody is looking at how innovations can come in every walk of life. For that matter, civil engineering departments across the globe have developed so many innovations, be it the affordable construction technology, be it the modular construction technologies, be it the 3D printing. IIT Madras is doing a lot of efforts, and some of the patented technologies are also available. There, it is not about the students, it's not about the external members, also the professors are also involved. So I think each and every professor should have a kind of a mandate, what innovation, what contribution I'm going to make for the research and the developmental activities is the key. Otherwise, we will all be reading those 50, 60 years old books, those big bulkier books. I think those things are not relevant at all at this point in time. If we want any text and theory, just click of a button, you get everything on the internet. Every book is available on internet, and knowing them today with this zillennials coming up, they can easily read and understand what is all about. Today, YouTube videos are available, and some of the videos are all better than how a professor can teach in a class. And these guys can get all of those knowledge. What is missing now is the practical exposure and hands-on exposure for both the students and also for the professors. I think this is my limited point, George.
Excellent. Thanks, Shankar, for that. If anybody, in fact, there's one question on the chat window which says from Sarika. Sarika asks, can you suggest any course after completing our degree? So, Sarika, I hope you're, I believe that you are actually doing your civil engineering, and she's asking, like, what could be some of the courses that she could take?
Sarika, I think I will take it, George. Sarika, it is after the basic course, undergraduate, it is about your passion, Sarika. If your passion is towards structural engineering, go for it. If your passion is towards city building, go for urban planning. So a lot of engineers are part of urban planning. If your passion is environmental engineering, go for environmental planning. And if your passion is technology, go for it. So I think it is all about passion. Now you have known more about civil engineering. Now go for your passion, and also see whether will your passion will give back the expected returns, what you want, because we need to survive in this world. I think go for something related to technology, go for something related to development, that is the city planning, and go for something project management, also for urban planning related stuff. That's my view on it. Maybe others can comment. Jayan?
That's good suggestion. Like, in fact, I also believe that collaboration is the key these days. And just like, I think in almost all the webinar series that we talked about, this was pointed out that civil engineering alone cannot work, mechanical engineering alone cannot work, and so is electrical and electronics. I think what we need is combination. Things have changed around the world. If you look at even automobiles, if you look at a car, I think internal combustion engine is going, and slowly, electrical vehicles are coming. So there's a lot of changes that is happening around, and so is the case with civil engineering as well. I think I totally agree and accept what Shankar said. And if anybody wants to add to what Shankar said, if you can specifically talk about some of the courses that could help the students here, that would be really good. Anybody who wants to just add a few more thoughts on this?
Yeah, I would say, it depends on which type of engineers they want to become. They want to become as a design engineer, say, okay, structural engineering courses, certainly they have to take. Whoever wants to take a design, they have to qualify themselves for a PG. And if it is, as Shankar told, environmental engineering, it is another fast emerging field, and it's going to be, there is going to be a lot of demand in environmental engineering. And that is another good course they can look for. Again, it's a process design and those things and all, they plan and particularly waste management and the reuse of water treatment. This is another areas they can look for. Apart from that, okay, if they want to go for a job readily, then they can do the construction management courses, and also they can do these certificate courses like in planning or the quantity surveying or modeling, Tekla modeling. These are the courses also are being given. Those courses also they can take. These things, these certificate courses also will help them to get placed fast. In fact, I would suggest even the colleges themselves, they can promote these courses, they train the students in these areas. That also will help the students to get placed fast. That's my result.
Thank you, Mr. Gnanasekaran. Thanks a lot. Jayan, you want to add something on this as well?
Yeah, I think like Shankar mentioned, that's it is something to do with their personal interest. But if I go back and actually picturize you in terms of the landscape, it's typically you can. I mean, the construction can be in any sector, but I think if you put it in the larger perspective, it's typically, I'll say the major facets are like the conceptual side, the planning side, the execution side, and the operation side. Now, which of this piece you want to pick, because somebody will have a personal bias to these stages, because like for example, an architect mostly operate at the conceptual side. I mean, their creative side. So you need to see whether you are on the creative side then, or because they probably will enjoy maybe the design part more. So, I mean, if you get into hardcore construction site, stay there at a site and watch concrete, probably is going to be a frustrated soul. So you need to know which side you are biased. I mean, that's the larger picture. So you identify the bucket which you are comfortable, which you think you are good at, or at least you probably, it's too early for you to say you're good at it or not, but at least you will have an inkling, right? I think I'm more interested in this direction. Then there are so many options are available. I would say, again, going back to the relevance of civil engineering, the Sheen point also, I think what civil engineering, multiple subset options are available. I don't think any other stream of engineering will have that kind of options available. You probably will get confused with the options available. The only thing is that I would say maybe undergraduation stage, our students needs to be going bit of out of syllabus. I mean, don't just like a narrow thinker. I think start going bit of out of syllabus. There the faculty probably could guide them. We picked up a topic in terms of how the faculties also should be ready to kind of guide these kids actually, because industry connect, this is industry connect we are talking, but don't stick to the 30, 40, 100 credits or go through the 50 courses. You need to make your students more relevant, and for that it's an interest taken by the faculty. But end of the day, it's the student's life. Actually, they need to get aligned to their interests and go and pick an area where at an undergraduation stage itself, they want to stay relevant. Then they need to stretch a bit, go and do probably like the discussion came like, you can do maybe a partly one digital construction course. It doesn't take you much of time. Things are available actually on a YouTube. You can enroll, learn everything free these days, stay relevant, be ahead of the time. And I would say the last 5 years, the changes happened in civil engineering. I would say, I think it is much more than probably what happened in the last 50 years.
Excellent.
Which was not the case actually in civil engineering. We were very slow to adapt, but it has changed. So I think our students need to actually move fast.
Excellent thoughts, Jan. And in fact, instead of having a convergent thought, you actually have a divergent thought. Probably not just one option. You said there are multiple, and I think lots and lots of options for civil engineers. Probably I don't know if Sarika got confused, but I'm sure that at the end of the day, like once Shankar mentioned, and and even Gnanashekhar talked about, Shankar mentioned about the passion and the energy that you have, and Shankar talked about what sort of engineer that you want to be. I think those are the things that would decide what course that you would want to take. And Jain, you're absolutely right. These days, the information that you have, I call the era into two types. You have BG and AG. Earlier it was BC and AD, before Christ and Anno Domini. Now it's BG and AG, which is before Google and after Google. So before Google is like, you don't have any information. After Google, it's like all information is at your fingertips, and possibly all the students would actually pick up anything that they want on YouTube and various other places that they want to. But then I just wanted to, talk about, some of you had mentioned about the trends in the construction industry. What are some of the emerging trends? For instance, if I talk about, computer science, they talk a lot on IoT, they talk a lot on robotics, they talk, RPA, robotic process automation, a lot of things like that in the technology front. So what are some of the emerging trends in the civil engineering side? Who would want to take that?
George, I think whatever you spoke, artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, everything is there in civil engineering. So that is the next step. I think most applied technology tools are into the civil engineering. I'm talking about the construction at large. So I think construction industry is exploring all of those which you're talking about. Probably those IT corporates are providing some solutions to these construction companies who are going to adopt all of those technologies. So that's number one. Number two, even the basic civil engineering itself, I've touched upon a couple of points. One is on the drone technology and the 3D printing and related digital interventions in construction. That is going to be the massive thing. In fact, I think we don't have much of a time. I think I request the participants to go and refer to the white papers published by JLL. You can go to our website and take some of the white papers. One of the white papers is on the technology and how it is going to impact the construction industry at large. Then on the emerging sectors and services related to real estate and the property management is another white paper which you can refer to. That will give a lot of leads as to what kind of opportunities are emerging and where you can land. Because as Jayan was highlighting, I really like his point about civil engineering is the one stream which will provide multiple opportunities. I think you can think about anything. I've known architects who were civil engineers earlier. I know IAS officers who are civil engineers. I'm just for a lighter side. I know actors who are civil engineers. I know everybody. I think civil engineering is the base. I think that's how you want to build on that is very, very important. Because otherwise civil engineering is a civil engineering. But after that, what you want to do is the key important factor. And one of the things which I wanted to note or highlight as also my concluding comment is that civil engineering, if you are coming straight from the colleges, it is going to be like you have to slog a lot. Initially, they'll ask you to work in a remote site, 12 hours a day. You might be 8 hours a day. You'll be sitting and seeing all concrete, as Jayan was highlighting. So that is what I think you need to spend more time in learning, more time in actually hands-on with the construction activities. The first 3 to 5 years, it's going to be struggle. In case if you want to pursue civil engineering as a base profession, but if you want to diversify and move into multiple streams, then passion is the only way. So I think this is what I wanted to dwell on, George, and this is what I want to communicate to the students out there. If you want a civil engineer, be a civil engineer. Put in your efforts for the next 3 to 5 years. It is going to be bad. No big companies will pick you up. Maybe in your college mates would be they would have be paid the best salaries in the world, and they might be getting 2 or 3 times than you, and immediately they must be working in a larger corporate, and they might be going once or twice to a global company. But if you are a civil engineer working in India, initial phase is very, very difficult. But however, a lot of countries are hiring. That civil engineers of India are the most preferred by most of the countries, especially the Middle East. All civil engineers, once in a lifetime, they must have worked in Middle East. And even in America, some of them are being preferred, of course, with the higher studies and all of that. I think my last comment or my few words to the young budding civil engineers is that don't lose hope. Have passion towards civil engineering, at least passion towards the built environment, and look for newer opportunities which are going to drive the entire world, because all you guys as zillennials, you want today, because during our days, we used to wait for some years, but today everybody wants, I want it tomorrow. I want to become the manager or the director in next 1 or 2 years time. George would know that because he's the head of talent, that this generation wants everything faster, but civil engineers, be fast, at the same time, upskill yourself, and also at the same time, try to look for newer opportunities, the emerging opportunity, grab on it and fly away. Thanks.
Thank you, Shankar. In fact, I've heard all you said, but then icing on the cake was, probably if you want to be an actor, learn civil engineering. But yes. All right. So probably this is the last question, and probably each one of you can take 1 minute of your time and respond. I think the objective was to help the students here. So what is that one of the most important thing, or probably the most relevant thing for the student? What could be the takeaway from this webinar that we are having? What is that one thing that you want the students to take away from this webinar or from this discussion? So each one can take 1 minute and probably respond, and we will close the discussion.
See, I would all the students to be passionate about their subjects. Okay, unless there's passion, they cannot develop the interest or the liking for their career. They should be strong in the fundamentals and the concepts. That's what the companies they look for. It is not that they can mug up and score good marks, but unless they know how to apply their knowledge on the field, they will not be relevant to the industry. So they have to be strong in the fundamentals and the concepts, and how are they going to apply that concepts in the field level? For that, probably, okay, as Shankar told, there are many YouTube channels are there. They can visit the nearby sites. And it is civil engineering is an open industry. Everywhere and anywhere you can see the construction going on, and they can even observe that, and they can learn something. And that is one major thing I just want to emphasize to the students. And as Shankar told, is civil engineering always the initial phases always it is difficult. First entry is difficult, and fortunate few okay they get campus recruited and they get placed in big companies like Larsen and Toubro. But many civil engineers, okay, they have to join the small companies and they have to gain the knowledge, and after that they have to gain the career progress. But that is the phase. They have to face it, and the initial 2 years may be difficult, but after that they can get very good salary and it's an enjoyable job. And there are multiple options out there. Unlike other industries, civil engineering is partly management and partly technical. And you can see all the sides of the facets of the engineering or business in the civil engineering field. So it is an enjoyable industry, and people have to be hopeful. And you can, and as we told, next 10 years is going to be a boom time for civil engineers. There's my take.
Thank you, Mr. Nanshekar. All right, over to Jain.
Yeah, I would say I would maybe use this as a final remark from my side. I want to actually reinforce that all of you, I think, who are civil engineering students or who are already in the stream, just be happy that actually you already chosen this. You just don't need to have that doubt in your mind. I think you are actually on the track. Only thing is, I would say you probably need to sit and find what is it that you are. Well, that's true in any field. I mean, that's not civil engineering. I think you just need to go and find that why. I mean, what is it that one thing I probably can contribute or I will stand out. Actually, this is my like the differentiator. That each one will have their own thing. Actually, try to find that out and then go for an extra mile. Actually, stretch a bit extra mile in terms of finding a little more about your interest, and go and find where you can actually get some hands-on experience. So you probably need to go out and pester somebody, get some hands-on experience as something beyond what your curriculum or a syllabus demand.
Thanks. So yeah. Go ahead and pester and get some kind of interns or become do some hands-on work is what Jain is saying. Thanks, Jain.
Yeah. So I have 3 things. First and foremost is very important. Follow industry leaders. Very important. This particular platform today, all of you heard about as we represent industry. So likewise, even after this particular forum is over, try to follow industry. What is industry up to? How industry is pursuing different opportunities, and be aligned with the industry. That's number 1. Number 2, go beyond, because many students I have seen, if the internship is for 1 month, they will do internship for 1 month. I have few students who say that, okay, my internship duration is 1 month, but there is a holiday after the 2 months or 3 months. I want to do internship for 4 months. That is going beyond. So I think you need to go beyond the normalcy. That's the second point which I wanted to highlight. And the third, also, I feel it's very important. Have a mentor. Have a mentor in your field, a senior or a super senior who is from the industry, not from the institution which you come out from, but the industry, with the industry. Have a mentor. Constantly engage with the mentor for his feedback about your career, because initial career feedback is very, very important, because I've seen the youngsters at this point in time, they take decisions on their own without any mentorship, because even George would know that today the longevity of the youngsters or the zillennials who are coming in, the millennials and zillennials, because I always use zillennials now because millennials term, this thing is also getting over. So all of them, they look for, working for an organization, working for somebody 1 or 2 years max. But, I worked for JLL for about now 18 years. So I think about those things. At least 5 years, you need to be associated with a thought or with an initiative or with an organization. Don't change very fast. Maybe in IT it will work, but in civil engineering, construction, it will not work. So focus on it. So have a mentorship or a mentor in your life. Thanks. So these are the 3 things I wanted you to follow.
Thank you all. I appreciate all your thoughts and comments and probably insights. Being industry experts and understanding this industry really well. I believe all your comments and responses were bang on, and I think all the students here and faculty members would have benefited out of this discussion. So we had a wonderful discussion. I'm sure that all of you would agree. And probably we should what we can do is use the reaction and probably give a big round of applause to all the panel speakers that we have. So that's the reaction that we have. Thank you all. Thank you so much. If there's anything that Bhavani wants to say, over to Bhavani. Thank you very much for the time and the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, speakers. That was a wonderful session. I guess students had got some good information about it. Normally, I used to get some more questions or something else from the students after the session is getting over. If it is there, I will pass it on to the speakers. If you could reply them, it would be good for. Thank you, speakers. Thanks a lot for your guidance and wonderful session it was.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. And
Thank you, everybody.
Hats off to you. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.